Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm Rob. Let's talk about our division.
All the division here. We've been going over so much Giant news the last, few weeks here as training camp and preseason and all unwinds here. And we'll get ready to start the regular season here just a couple weeks. But we haven't gone over the rest of the NFC East here really since the first wave of free agency and the draft ended there basically. So I think it's time to do that here. So so let's get right into there and everything there. And I apologize also real quick before we get started. I should say we were a few minutes late here. I was finishing up birthday festivities here, so had a little bit of
happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
Put this on.
The mighty 41 now, 41 years old. Don't feel a day over 97.
You guys can't see, but he's like FDR in a wheelchair.
Yes, I had polio.
Oh,
yeah, you went there. You just made fun of polio. Don't you feel bad now?
No, you went there. Just saying you were.
You would have said I was like FDR. Wow.
I didn't have to go. You didn't have to go that far with it.
I was shocked that you went there. I really was. I was like, I can't believe Rob just had polio. All right. Hold on, I put my cigar, my long cigarette with the stem on mine.
Hold on, let me just undo my cigarette sleeve.
I roll around in my office chair here. So before we get into the rest of the division here, we're going to start off with a little bit of Giants news here. There was a couple of bits of news here that came out here the last couple of days we haven't gone over yet. And then we're going to go over. Connor says, okay, whose birthday was it? It's my birthday, Connor. My party, and I'll cry if I want to, damn it.
Mine was Tuesday. Drew's is today.
Yeah. It's the goofball birthday week.
And last week was the birthday of the podcast.
Exactly. The
It's a trifecta.
The podiversary.
Yeah.
It's weird how we have the same birthday almost like that. That's weird.
2 days apart, yeah.
Like I said, my sister's birthday was yesterday too, so it's it's crazy how so many back to back. Now August, though, for those who are unaware, is the most popular birthday month of the year. It really actually is.
New Year's Eve.
Well, no, that'd be 8 months.
Listen, it's 48 weeks on average. Listen, before you get rude, 48 weeks to 49 weeks is the average. It's not. 40 weeks. Doesn't exactly mean 9 months to the day.
I know. But
and
it's
more children are born early than they are late.
It's also Thanksgiving.
This week makes.
It's Christmas. It's also cold, so you have nothing else to do.
Got to keep warm somehow.
It's bad we're talking about our own birthday.
It's a Christmas miracle. I was born in August.
I was Immaculate Conception myself.
I was born 2 weeks early.
I was
definitely New Year's Eve. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening. I figured it out.
I was supposed to be born August 1st.
Oh, so you're just stubborn.
Yeah, I still am.
Couldn't tell.
A trait that I've had pretty much forever, it seems. So, so anyway, back to the Giants news here. So first thing is, we talked about it last week, but Anthony Barr, is he coming in? Is he not coming in? Well, guess what? He came in. He came in for a visit, and apparently today was that day. And it's weird because there was no hype leading up to it. I mean, as much talk as there wasn't any discussion about, hey, Anthony Barr is coming in today. He just kind of popped in.
Yeah. Hey, here I am. Ding dong.
Ding dong. The
Fire
bars.
too.
But yeah, he did leave without any kind of contract being signed. I haven't heard any rumors whether or not there was an actual offer given to him or what the deal is. But I do think it's odd that we talked about a couple of days ago how Micah, is kind of taking over that position from Darian. We thought he was going to take it over. So, McFadden, we saw him last year. He didn't look necessarily the best in the role. So maybe something's going on with Beavers, and you and I are wrong. And they're like, hold on, we don't.
I don't know if something's going on with Beavers or McFadden just looking that good.
To me, when you're bringing in competition this late, it tells me you're not happy with the position. Obviously, like there's no one in the organization. Like I said, I'm aware of that Barr has that kind of relationship with that. You're just putting him in the news to get some, publicity for him.
Yes and no. But also, if you want to get the best out of the players you have, kind of also want to make sure that, it's cynical as it sounds, they're not the absolute that they could be replaced, which then hence makes the players you have play harder. So if you take your person like Barr, while you're in the middle of this pretty fierce competition for that spot,
so fierce.
You don't think they're going to play harder to keep their job?
Yeah, honestly, to me, if they were happy with who they had, they wouldn't be bringing in a guy that's at the tail end of his career. I really think that. I really think they're not happy with what they have at the position.
I don't see it like that. I see, if anything, like they bring a guy like Barr in for more of like a kind of, here, you could kind of play maybe here and there, but like you're going to pass the torch on. And Barr didn't sign anything, and he walked away. So if they're really that concerned, you would probably heard more out of it today than, hey, you're going to pass the torch on. And he went, I don't want that role.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, something screams problem here. We'll see. We'll see as time goes.
Yeah.
Because we'll find out. Because if we sign him or anybody else and they start over, McFadden and Beavers, that tells you that there was an issue.
Yes.
In other news, there's a certain man who is literally one of the best ever at his position.
Which is amazing.
Gronkowski, who has said that Dable would have the best chance of getting him out of retirement of any coach. So Giant fans got a little excited. I'm telling you right now, guys, Gronk is not coming.
No.
Gronk is not
we
coming.
We signed Waller. Why would we get Gronk?
We got Waller. Well, here's the thing. If you want to go based on quality, okay. You got Waller. You got Bellinger. And obviously Gronk didn't play it all last year. But Gronk's still a better tight end than Bellinger, probably. He's still a better all-around tight end than Waller because he can block. But he's certainly better than Chris Myrick and Lawrence Cager.
But he would also cost all their salaries put together.
Oh, and that's the thing. We're not going to get him because, the money part of it is definitely a big
thing. Yeah, that'll be like all their salaries that with incentives would be his salary guaranteed. And let's not forget, he did not play last year. And he's also, the past few years that he did play, wasn't the most healthy individual.
No,
there's a reason why he retired young.
Forever young.
Forever young, not football.
I think that the big thing is, could you imagine a goal line offense with Waller, Bellinger, and Gronkowski on the line?
Good luck. Yeah.
Good luck. Our red zone's 100%.
We'll be running a wide receiver once nonstop. That's it.
How many receivers put out there? Just give us all tight ends. All tight ends.
Just everyone. Why have 8 wide receivers? What was this whole discussion about? We got tight ends. Don't worry about it.
We're not doing it as much as I'd love to see it for that reason alone. It's not going to happen. Gronk's not coming. I think if anything, he just said that to show his support for Dable and to show what he thinks of Dable as a coach and as a person. So that's all that was. So let's not get too excited about that news. Now this is the news to get excited about. and not in a positive way.
I was about to say, is it the reason to get excited? It should be
Yes.
a reason to get pretty
Irate.
PO'd.
Pissed off.
Yeah.
Yes. While also being confused and bewildered.
Hmm.
It came out today that Tom
Where am
Coughlin
I?
passed over once again for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The man almost brought the Jaguars to the Super Bowl in their second season in the goddamn NFL. He won 2 rings with the New York Giants. He almost brought the Jaguars back to the Super Bowl a second time going into the AFC Championship game there, second time in their history as an executive. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm calling it flat out.
Yeah.
Flat out. I don't get the disrespect that Tom Coughlin is getting right now. I really don't. Absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? We keep on talking about doing an episode about New York Giants that are not in the Hall of Fame and should be in the Hall of Fame. If anything, this is making
number
me
one.
think next week is the week to do it because this is utter bullshit. I'm just sick of it. I really am. The man won 2 championships as a head coach. That should be an automatic in right there. If that's not an automatic in, I don't know what is. What's next? We're not getting Andy Reid in?
Yeah. How many coaches out there have never gone to the Super Bowl? How many coaches out there have won one Super Bowl and are in the Hall of Fame over here? How many won 2 and was a contender for 3? Like, let's be real here. Like, this guy has coached up a lot of teams. I was about to say talent, but there's some points where he had lackluster talent and coached up the teams to be excellent or above where they should be playing.
To me, it annoys me. So, if you want to go overall, obviously you got Belichick number 1 at 6. You got Chuck Noll 4. You got Bill Walsh. You got Joe Gibbs at 3. And then everybody else tied at 2. So he is tied for the 5th most Super Bowl wins in NFL history. NFL history.
Yeah. Now, all of the coaches have one ring. How many of those are in the Hall of Fame?
Why? I don't have that stat in front of me. Sorry.
Oh, okay. You're saying, like, if there's just one in there, that's shenanigans.
There's only he joins. He's still with the list of George Seifert and Mike Shanahan as the only other coaches to have multiple championships and not get in. And we talked about George Seifert before, where I think that's unfair on him. But I do think part of that is because people look at him as just kind of finishing out what Bill Walsh did. Mike Shanahan, you look at the team he had. I mean, John Elway, Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp, a really good offensive line, Ed McCaffrey, Rod Smith, defense with guys like Steve Atwater, Bill Romanowski, Neil Smith as well. I mean, it was a stacked goddamn team. And people don't give him the credit because of that and because of what he did afterwards. There's not a single place that Tom Coughlin went and didn't succeed.
Yeah, and you look back, you're talking about the John Elway days. It's not like contractually they are the same scenarios for the coaches. Like, players move around a lot more. Like, there's different, the game is a different game because the players will move around a lot more. So you can keep a stacked team a lot easier, 40 years ago than you can these days.
Elway also went to Super Bowls before Shanahan. And that's part of the disrespect I think that Shanahan gets.
Correct.
But I mean, there's not a single thing you can sit there and knock Coughlin for. If you want to knock him on the overall record, maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
It has to be.
But he won rings. All he does is win. And you know what? In the end, I think part of what pisses me off about this is because it makes me wonder what's going to happen to Eli. If Coughlin is getting blocked and getting into the Hall of Fame, does that mean Eli's going to get blocked as well? Because let's be honest, those two have the same exact kind of career. 2 Super Bowl wins, and that those 2 wins are what gets them Hall of Fame worthy. Without that, they're not. Flat out, if they don't win those Super Bowls, they're not they're not Hall of Famers. They're not.
Correct.
But they did.
They turned it up when they had to.
They're Hall of Famers, point blank. All right, let me get off my soapbox.
Why are you on the soapbox? It's slippery.
Slip on the soapbox. Let's get into the rest of the NFC East here and give you guys some updates on what's going on there around the NFC East division. We're going to start with the Eagles and with the Commanders. We're going to go in record order from last year. I think it's fair, showing respect that way, even though I hate showing respect. And I also see we got Dakota in the chat here, so I want to make sure Dakota hears Eagle news. The Eagles suck. End of news.
On to the Cowboys.
The Cowboys suck. No.
On to the Commanders.
Before we do that, let's get into the comments here. We got a few comments to go through. Dakota says, "What's up?
What's up, buddy?"
It says, "Feel like I'm watching Dune." I'm not sure what's going on with that comment here. Let us know, Dakota. I watched part of Dune and I fell asleep. I didn't like it. Happy birthday. Appreciate Dakota. He says, "At least it isn't herpes," and I think that was in relation to the polio conversation we were having. As Connor says, "Okay, whose birthday was it?" And it was his. It's now mine. He's passed the birthday baton. As Deb says, "Happy birthday, Drew."
Here you go.
Happy belated birthday, Rob.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And then Connor says, "Happy B-Day, Goofies. Happy birthday to your sister." Thank you, Connor. Soul Brother number 1 says, "Happy birthday, Goofballs." Appreciate it, man. Connor says, "Well, we know what Drew's parents." We're not going to that one.
They were goblin.
He also says, born early. That explains a lot. Oh, I think he called you immature. And then there's your dad. We're talking.
Hi, Dad.
Hope he wasn't hearing the conversation earlier. He says, "Happy birthday, boys." Appreciate it. Dad talking actual football is our first actual football comment. He says, "One of the coaches said Beavers has to be viewed as a rookie because he didn't play last year." That was actually Wink Martindale himself. And he was talking about, at the time, Micah McFadden, and how McFadden had kind of taken over as the presumptive second linebacker next to Okereke. And I think that was his way of saying he's not there yet. But you can't look at him like a second player, give him some time, and he very well probably will get there. I think that was his way probably of doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then Connor makes another inappropriate comment about my parents. I'm not putting up. He also says, "Gotta have young guys playing, build as the team as a team going forward." Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I don't think that Gronk is even. I don't think that was even a serious comment. I really don't.
No.
Okay. No, go ahead, Rob.
So it's tuned up. Oh, yeah, I was saying, yeah, I don't think Gronk was serious about the whole scenario. Like, he just, like we alluded to earlier, he's just trying to say thank you to, not thank you, but he's trying to say, Dable is a great coach and he would love to play for him, but he's past his time. He kind of out of focus mind.
Yeah. That's why he's not in New England. Didn't fit really. Dakota says someone is tuned up. Yeah, I'm definitely a little tuned up here because of Coughlin. I feel bad for the guy. Plus, and this is gonna sound horrible, but I'm gonna say it anyway, because what the hell? This is what I do. I say inappropriate things. He's old. Like, God forbid this man gets sick and passes before he gets that moment. He deserves that moment. I mean, I don't know how old he is exactly. I could look it up, but I feel like he looked extremely old when he was a coach for the Giants, and that was 20 years ago. So he's got to be at least.
He was like 63.
He's got to be in his 70s now. 76 years old. That's and honestly, if we're being completely frank and not trying to be rude about it, but trying to be just blunt, that's the average life expectancy of a person. Give the man his chance to shine in the hall. Give him his one last time to go up on a podium in front of the best and get, applauded for what he did, because he had a hell of a career. Just saying. Connor says, and it says best a couple of times. I think he means beat undefeated team, beat Belichick, and they don't let him in. Maybe they want him and Eli going in together. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's what it is. Eli is next year. I think he's eligible. Dakota says, you guys should have Tom C on. I would love to have Tom Coughlin on. That would be amazing. Yeah. But
can you arrange that? That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, if you happen to know his agent's phone number, we're all for it. And he says, LOL, the intro. You're talking about the Dune comment there. Another LOL. And then Connor says, great, I have 22 years left. Damn it. Hope for earlier. Nope. If it makes you feel better, at that point, Rob and I will be, in our 60s there at that point.
Oh, you'd be hitting 60, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying. You'll be 60, I'll be 62 at that point, and or 63 at that point, and we'll be like, we're live streaming. I know you young guys don't know what's going on here.
You do the 3D face screen stuff. You know what's going on here.
You guys don't remember
the hologram stuff.
All right, let's get into the rest of the division here. Let's start off with the Eagles here. So the first bit of news really comes out of one of the rookies here, Jalen Carter, and the hype train is at full top speed at this point here. I mean, this guy is being talked about as if he's going to be an all-pro right off the gate. They're obviously very excited from what they've seen from him so far. They had joint practices with the Cleveland Browns, and he was said to be manhandling two-time Pro Bowler Joel Bitonio, who's, again, you made the Pro Bowl twice. I'm not saying you're the most amazing person ever. I mean, Evan Ingram made it once, but I mean, you're still a good player at that point. So to come in as a rookie, facing competition for the first time for the team in the NFL and do that to somebody with that kind of accolades, that's pretty impressive. So hopefully they just make sure he has a personal driver from now on, though, to keep him out of trouble.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith also has said to be looked pretty good as well. So that's another guy to kind of keep an eye on, see how he's doing there, because listen, they got a lot of Georgia players here that are young. We don't know how many of them are actually going to develop for them. Obviously, we're hoping for none, but they have some big name college guys there. I mean, some of those guys are bound to make it. Some are bound to be good, and some are bound not to. The Eagles secondary is also said to be looking extremely good and extremely deep. They've been building up not just their starters. Obviously, we know they have the two good corner tandem there, but their backups, even their reserves, are just guys that in some cases could start for other teams. So, again, strength at that point, where if they do lose out on some of the stuff they've lost this season between the defensive coordinator, losing, some of the key players over the defense, especially the linebacker position. Secondary is definitely not a weak point right now. That's definitely a position of strength. Star edge rusher Hassan Reddick also had thumb surgery. So he had that just today. He's expected to be ready, though, for the start of the season. And the injury happened
right there
Monday in practice. Yeah. He's on a very strict no hitchhiking routine right now.
No rest stops. No rest stops.
Can't do that. When he gets excited, he cannot give a thumbs up. He has to give a pointer finger up just to avoid injury.
How was that movie? One thumbs up.
Yeah. One thumb up. Oh my gosh. So their new offensive coordinator, I got to go over a little bit on that too as well, because obviously it's not just the defensive coordinator they've lost, it's also their offensive coordinator. And from everything you're seeing basically in public practices in the preseason, the team is going to continue to have a huge emphasis on utilizing the quarterback's mobility. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is a very mobile quarterback. As good as he looked as a passer last year, if you look at his just stats alone, they weren't mind-blowing. They weren't, oh my God, this is amazing. But when you throw that into what he did with his legs, it was a very good season. So they definitely plan on still doing a lot of runs, a lot of RPOs based on what you're seeing there. Also expect to see a running back by committee, because everything you're seeing there from as far as their public practices, at least in the preseason so far, you're seeing a lot of by committee there where there's not one particular player that's the lead back. It's just whoever's got the hot hand, whoever fits in the game plan. And,
I mean, we were talking about this when we were talking about signing Barkley. Like, these, 3-4 running backs have the salary of Barkley right now.
Yep.
So it's like they didn't want to pay an all-star. They just got a community guys that could run the ball, and they're just looking to do a whole bunch of cycling. They have like a finesse guy, they got a speed guy, and a third down guy.
Yeah. And they got Penny as well, who's if he's healthy again, he's shown some big shots of being a potential star running back when he's with Seattle. Problem is the guy can never stay healthy. There's also, with some reports coming out of the Cleveland shared practices, that Devontae Smith actually outshined A.J. Brown and looked like the better of the two receivers, that he's made a jump this year. So that's going to be interesting to kind of keep an eye on, because I know
was it a jump or was it digression of AJ?
Let me put it this way. A lot of the stuff you see, obviously, is by Eagles writers. So they're not going to tell you too much as far as the negative stuff. Same as the Giants writers don't tell you the negative stuff when they're in camp, really. But, when you look at it from that perspective, it's also who was covering him at that point. Because if he's being covered by the second string corner, not the top corner, like he was last year, he also has a game up in that degree as well, because he's not facing the same competition as Brown was. Brown's still the better receiver. But the bigger thing is that I'm also looking to show ahead, that he's looked pretty good there. As Dakota also points out, Reed Blankenship there picked off Watson 5 times during the practices as well, which I heard that as well. He's looked really good as well in those practices. So again, I hate to say it as a Giant fan, it's a lot of good news for the Eagles coming out of their camp there. A lot of good news. Got to see how things actually play out once the season begins. I'm not saying let's hand them the division, but it's a lot of good news for them on their side at that point there. Also, still no word on if Reed Blankenship was able to pick off the masseuse before she got over to Sean Watson in that case as well.
Oh.
Womp.
Deflection. Womp womp.
All right, so let's see. We had a couple of comments here from Dakota as we're going over our Eagles news here. He's the resident Eagle fan, so let's get him in here and see what he says here.
Why you going to fly?
Gets better and better every year of his career. Then he says, linebacker was already our weakest position last year. Last year, you guys had some good linebackers. You did. Again, Giant fan. We say that about every other team. We had the worst ones ever. So Dakota says, great DT and DE room helps a lot. Obviously, having a good defensive line is going to help your secondary, that's for sure. He says it's how he won games, not yards made. Yeah, like I said, I'm not knocking him when I say that. What I'm just saying is Jalen Hurts, if you look at his numbers purely as a passer, the numbers weren't all that impressive necessarily.
Yeah,
he was impressive how he played last year. But if you look just stat-wise, it's not impressive.
I mean, we're Giants fans here. Look at what DJ did. Like,
you're
not through that well, but collectively with what he ran with, he was above average.
Well, yeah.
So,
as Dakota also says, top-rated QB last year. Yeah, that's what happens.
Top-rated, number one.
You have a top 10 running back, a top offensive line, a great wide receiver duo, top 5 tight end at the NFC. I mean, yeah. We'll see what he does when he has less weapons around him. That'll happen the next year or two with those contracts, that's for sure. All right, on to the Cowboys.
Let's get them. Get that laptop, boys.
They've been fighting, apparently. They've been fighting. Them's fighting words. Fighting words. So apparently the Cowboys have been fighting left and right. One practice alone, they had 3 fights in the same practice. Yeah.
Let them win at something.
This is what happens when you model your team off of the Longest Yard movie. I'm just saying.
It's funny. 'Cause Jack kind of looks like Adam Sandler.
No.
Burt Reynolds?
No. But Dak does look like somebody who's still throwing interceptions because guess what he's doing in camp? He's still throwing interceptions.
He's just throwing to his teammates, just the wrong ones.
Just the wrong ones, exactly. He's like, "What? They're on my team. It's okay."
Yeah. In double digits.
And you have to wonder, to a certain degree, we've talked about it forever, how Dak Prescott does not do well under the pressure of the postseason. Hasn't been able to get the team into the NFC Championship game, let alone the Super Bowl. And let's be frank, the Cowboys have had good teams. As much as we like to talk trash about them, they've had good teams. They've had talented rosters, but they can't get the job done. So that tells me that Dak doesn't do well under pressure. Now, next year, Dak Prescott has a massive contract number. Massive. And it's for the first time the Cowboys can get out of that contract he's in. So I think he's going to have some issues overall because he's going to feel that pressure. Because in the end, if he doesn't succeed, it could be time. This could be Dak Prescott's last year that the Cowboys go, you know what? This is it, or it's time to move on. Because next year, got a huge cap number. Next year's cap number for him
be in Vegas.
is $59 million, just shy of $60 million. And you know what? Actually, I just looked it up. They're stuck with him next year. He's got a dead cap if you cut him of $62 million. They lose $3 million to cut him. Oh, so they are stuck with him one more year. But after that, it's all clean sailing. They could be. Now, keep in mind, they could do a post-June first at that point and split the $30.5 million, $31 million between the 2 years. Save $30 million against the cap. So, yeah, I mean, it could be the year where they decide to make that move. But yeah, I
mean,
rough.
listen, if you draft a young quarterback coming out of this year in college, you kind of save of what you've been at decent QB play for expensive cost.
Yeah, like I said, to me, it's got to be, if he has another bad year, if he starts leading the league again in interceptions, it's got to be time to move on. And like I said, you do
if
that.
They don't win. They don't go to the playoffs and win at least one game. Playoffs. They'll go into the playoffs and let a win, just one game. Dak is cut. McCarthy's gone. And guess what? They are sweeping everyone.
Rebuild time. And I just looked up to see the exact number. If they cut post-June 1st, Dak Prescott next year, they save $34 million against the cap. Now, keep in mind, they're going to have a $25.5 million cut, cap hit the next year because it splits the money. That's why they save so much money. But yeah, that's worth it. That's worth it.
Yeah, like I said,
so
you take a cheap QB, you take someone out of, you draft someone, or you take someone like Garoppolo where you can pay him pennies compared to what you're paying Dak.
Yeah,
you got the same gameplay. You go for quarterback play for overcharge, but you save $60 million at the end. Like, my God.
If you want someone just to throw some interceptions, I'll do that for $10 million.
Yeah,
just saying.
I'd gladly do that.
I'll throw some interceptions for $10 million.
I'll move the text for you.
So the big talk last time we talked about around the division here was Zach Martin also saying he will not go ahead and play for the Cowboys until he gets more money. Well, they did rework his deal and he's got some more money. So guess what came back? Back again. Zach is back. Tell a friend on the Zach phone.
Oh, Zach is back.
The Zach Morris phone. Oh, yes. But yeah, he's back. I was kind of hoping that would go into the regular season because he's a damn good player. I was actually flipping out, and I'll say this. Some people probably hate that I say this, but I'll say it anyway. I don't care. When the draft was happening, I was pissed that we didn't get Zach Martin and we got OBJ. I wanted Zach Martin. Now, for the first couple of years, I looked pretty wrong in that. But if you could redraft that all over again, would you take Zach Martin over OBJ? I would. He's still playing at an all-pro level. OBJ's barely playing.
Oh, yeah, you haven't watched Baltimore news, so he looks fantastic. Everyone's talking about him. God,
Had to look last year. I'm just saying.
He looked fantastic from the left bench in the hospital.
I'm just saying. Yes, that's where I would go. Now, one position really to watch at the Cowboys rest of their practices and camp and preseason here is kicker. So they started the camp with 2 kickers. Tristan Vizcaino and Brandon Aubrey. Now, Aubrey is the only kicker left. He spent the last 2 years in the USFL, has never even attempted a kick in the NFL. And as of right now, he's going to be their starting kicker this season.
I mean, if it's for Dallas, he's probably kicking 7-yard field goal. So 70, not 70.
I'm just saying that's kind of scary to have. That's your only kicker you have is the guy who's never kicked in the NFL. Like, that's yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to take away from the kicker spot, but yeah.
Listen, I'll take away from a lot of spots. Kicker is one of those things that you win or lose by the kicker sometimes.
Oh, 100%. I'm not trying to diminish that, but if you're a running back, there's a difference. Running back and a kicker. If you're the QB, there's a difference between a runner and a kicker. If you're a receiver,
oh, of course,
there's a difference between a runner. Kicker has more time pressure and more safety nets, penalty-wise, around them. That takes less pressure off what they have to do. They have to concentrate what they got to do and just not.
But remember that what happened last year in the playoffs? The Cowboys kicker missed 4 straight extra points against the Bucs in the first round. If they had played a legit team, not a team that barely squeaked in above 500, they would have lost that game.
Yeah.
They would have lost. And that would have been the reason why, probably. That's what I'm saying. It's one of those things to keep an eye on. Because I don't think that's...
Well, you missed 4 field goals. Like, everyone, like, you stop to think that. Extra kicks or field goals?
This is extra points.
Yeah.
I don't think they even attempted a field goal. I think they knew better.
Yeah.
I remember right, in that
points.
game, there was a couple of times they could have attempted a field goal, and they went for it because they didn't want to put it
That is right. That is right.
I mean, I don't have that stat in front of me, but if I remember right, that happened like twice.
No, you're 100% right. I was at a buddy's house. We were watching it in his basement bar.
Like fourth and 5. They're like, fuck, we're going for it. We're not putting this kicker out there again. We can't do it.
We're at the 45. We're going to go for it.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Couple of news as far as some backups here as well. So Brock Hoffman is a name to keep an eye on if you're looking for people that have kind of might sneak into some rosters in this division here. He started camp as somebody who they didn't think would have a shot in hell of making it. I mean, they have a couple of young centers they've drafted in the last couple of years, but he's going to end up making it probably as their backup center right now, the way things are going. So name to keep an eye on, because as much as we hate the Cowboys, same as the Giants, are very good at always getting defensive tackles. That's what they do. We're good at defensive tackles. The Cowboys tend to be good at offensive linemen. So,
at least for the past 10 years.
Plus. Yeah, something to keep an eye on. And then we have another thing, another player to go over as well. It's gonna, again, a backup player. He's not going to be a starter. But he's definitely not short on talent. Deuce Vaughn. 5'2". He's turning some heads. He's turning some heads there. He's been getting some speed going. You get some people getting a little hype about him there. I think the hype's a little overblown, because I think the Cowboys are pushing it out because his dad works for the team.
Yeah.
And I think, if anything, it's almost like a circus act. People are happy to see this little tiny, like, Muggsy Bogues of a running back.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of what it is. But I mean, if you look at
Rudy.
Deuce Vaughn is 5'5", 176 pounds, guys. There's no way in hell he's making it long term as a running back. I'm sorry. There's no way in hell. Now, he might be a gadget third down player. He might be doing some special teams, like he did a kickoff return I saw for a touchdown in one of the practices.
He might be the guy getting carted off the field.
Yeah, if you want him running through the tackles, yeah, he's not going to last long. Not going to last long at all. So we'll just see what happens with him overall. But
MCL, meniscus.
He's gonna have no knee left by the time he's done playing the first game. The first game, not even. Alrighty. On to the Washington D.C. Commanders, as they're now known, at least for now. The big news, obviously, is the sale of the team. That's the big one there, because I think people have forever wanted, and even people that like weren't even Commanders fans, wanted to go ahead and have Dan Snyder out of the team because, quite frankly, he's an embarrassment overall. So, team led by Josh Harris has now gone ahead and officially purchased. We talked about that a while ago. That's gone 100% through now. But that's the biggest news of the offseason, obviously, for them. The big addition they've had to their coaching staff, obviously, being Eric Bieniemy. And there's rumors like crazy still about players revolting against him, that he's not getting along with some of the players there. But if you remember, there was a big issue with him in Kansas City as well with that. You heard players talk trash about him afterwards. He was also a college coach at Colorado. I don't have this in front of me, but I believe Colorado State or Colorado, one of the Colorados. And there was
somewhere out there
issues with him there as well. So, again, the guy had how many years as a really good offensive coordinator and never got a head coaching job? I know everybody wants to point the finger at the reason why, but I also think while that's probably part of the equation, I think a part of the equation is also his personality, because you don't have so many other people that used to play for him have these issues with him. Even Mahomes would argue with him, like yell, like to the not even like respectful, like let's go back and forth. Like you can tell he was pissed at him during some of the games.
Yeah.
And I really do think that he's probably a guy that's rather abrasive and comes off wrong to people because of that. As a Jersey person, I don't know what that's like.
Jersey, you shrug that off. You're like,
yeah, whatever.
Go kick rocks.
We've been talking also about Sam Howell, and this is going to be the year of Sam Howell, and Sam Howell will probably have 1 year to prove himself to this coaching staff and this team overall before he's given the boot, basically, if he can't cut it. And the weird thing is, the Commanders still have not announced him as the starting quarterback this year. It makes you wonder.
I mean, that's Commanders pulling through.
Yeah, but it's like, is that a thing they're doing because they want to go ahead and try to, push him more and more? Or are they doing this because they're still not 100% sure themselves as far as what they want to do? I mean, he's number one in the depth chart right now. Their official depth chart, but he's not named as the starter for the season there. I mean, you got Jacoby Brissett. That's their second quarterback. He's got a lot of starting experience, obviously, but he never wins anywhere he goes. They also have Jake Fromm.
Jacoby Brissett, he's definitely a fantastic backup quarterback. Fantastic being very nice.
He's a Tyrod Taylor. He's a very good, experienced backup. He's a good guy to have overall like that. But if he's starting, that's an issue.
I mean, he did decent last year for the Browns. But decent. I didn't say he did good. I say he did decent.
I'm just saying, you don't win, and 8 don't matter. That's all that matters to me.
I mean,
so I think it's a coaching strategy myself. I think they just want to see if they can get him pumped up. Like, hey, you got to earn this. This isn't there, which is kind of weird because if this is the guy that you put all your faith in, which they did by not getting a quarterback this offseason, then
we shot themselves.
You should already know that he doesn't need that kind of prep and that kind of stuff to get him pumped up. He should be the guy that you already know is going to do all the work regardless. So I don't know. Whole thing's odd to me, but I've heard of plenty of people thinking that's a legit thing to do. So I don't know. Just different schools of thought. Different schools of thought.
You know what? That's an old school style of thought. And when we're talking about the new coaching staff, the old school set of mind, maybe you piss off your whole team. You lose your head coaching job next year. Whatever. Gnomes, no.
Oh yes, the gnome collection continues.
I see your Noman happy to see me.
So other news here, the other big news coming this offseason has been the fact that Chase Young's 5th-year option has been declined. There's all kinds of rumors of will they trade him? Will they do this? Will they do that? I don't think that's their plan at all with this whole move. I think their whole plan was to go, okay, you know what? Let's decline it. Let's give him a chance to go ahead and prove that he deserves another contract and then go from there. This is the same as Daniel Jones last year.
I was going to say, is it a DJ all over again?
Yeah. As Giant fans, we should know all too well what this is. This is protecting yourself from having to pay a ton of money to a player that you're not sure on still. And what a difference a year or two makes. Chase Young, after his first year, was displayed as this like, oh my God, this guy's the second coming of LT. This is going to be like an all-time great pass rusher.
Savior.
I never got the hype. I never
did. We talked about this last year. Like we saw him once last year, correct? Right? He was injured for the first game.
So he played in 3 games last year. Started with 2. Didn't have a single sack. He had 1 QB hit.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he didn't play us the first game. Did he play us the second game when we won?
Yes, he played the second game.
I was supposed to say, yeah.
Remember, that was his first game back because they didn't want to play him with the turf at life.
Correct.
So, but still, he didn't do anything there. He had 9 games he played in 21, had 1.5 sacks. Everybody all excited because of that rookie year. But if you look at that rookie year and you actually break down what he did, okay, so keep in mind this was back when they had 16 games. He played 15 of the 16 games. He had 7.5 sacks. Now, you can look at the sack numbers and go, okay, that's pretty good. He had only 12 QB hits to go on with those 7 sacks. So that means more than a third of the time, if he hit the quarterback, he got him down. That's a pretty high ratio.
Yeah.
That tells you that there's a little bit of bloated in the stat there. And
yeah,
like I said,
you're telling me he's hitting the QB 0.8 times in the game.
Well, no, because keep in mind, you got the 7.5 don't count towards the 12. So you figure just about 20 times.
Okay, you're right. So yeah.
That's not a very good ratio. That's like 35% of the time if he touches the quarterback, he gets him down. That's too high. It's too bloated. Yeah. So like I said, I think he's not that good, and I've said that from the get-go. And I think maybe the injuries are part of it, but I never got the hype. You can look at a guy like Azeez Ojulari, and I think his rookie season was just as good as Chase Young, pretty much, and he didn't get nearly the hype. Not nearly the hype. He had 8 sacks his rookie year. He had half a sack additional. You want to go just based on sacks, since I know everybody loves to do that. You know, if you look at his numbers overall, which I'm pulling them up right now as we speak, my internet's just a little slow. He had 13 QB hits, so very similar numbers. Very similar numbers as far as his pass rushing abilities there. And he only started 13 games. So, like I said, I just think that Chase Young was overhyped. I do. So we'll see what happens overall. We'll see, if he can get out of the trouble, so to speak, and get back into a good contract again. But I don't see it. I think if he had something special for the NFL, I think the injuries probably took it. A couple of years back to back getting injured. That's what I have to assume until otherwise.
I mean, it's a fair statement. I mean, also, when was the last time, besides RG3, that Commander fans have something to be excited for that actually prove themselves? So anytime they get a little bit of hype,
not much.
This is our coming. So like, I mean, they were so excited about RG3. Like I said this before in the podcast, but they built a statue of that man outside the brand new stadium, FedEx Field. Like rookie year, you built a statue. You paid more for that statue than you did for him to play for you that year.
And how many times they mess up Sean Taylor? I mean, like I said, again, I'm so glad for their fans that they have a new owner. I really am. Now, another rookie of theirs we got to talk about here We talk about the prior rookie year that Chase Young had. They got a real hyped up. Emmanuel Forbes. We talked about him during draft time. There, he's the really itty bitty teeny tiny little corner. He's like 165 pounds. This kid is. That's how small he is.
No, I mean,
And
this draft was tiny. We talked about that.
yeah, but I'm saying he was like the tiny corner. Like there was like really tiny players, but there was like one or two in each position. He was the tiny corner. He was obviously they picked before us. So I mean, he was a mid-round, first-round pick at 165 pounds, and they're saying he's basically been playing with fearlessness. He's running after running backs when they're going towards the outside. He's doing the big hits, and again, we said it with Deuce Vaughn, but I'll say it again with him as well. If he's playing that way, that's not good.
City.
That's not good for him. That's gonna be, like I said, that's gonna be an
Your
injury.
career. Your career concussed all the time, or severe injuries like that'll take you out of the game, where you're not going to play the same.
Oh yeah.
You're telling me when they play the Giants, you have a man like that try to cover Dallin Waller. He knows. He ain't taking that guy down. He has to play fearlessness. But he also might concuss himself trying to just take down Waller. And Waller just walk on by.
He might. But, I said, we'll have to see what happens overall. I just don't think I think he'll be a good player. We talked about that when we were talking about him in draft time. I just don't think he's going to have a long career. Because I think at his size.
It's his size. He needs to.
It's an anomaly.
He really needs to hit that weight room. He knows better. He gnomes better than coming small.
This is where people that don't watch the actual video miss out. It's Rob talking, and I have one of the gnomes just popping up randomly.
He's doing the elevator. He's coming through the side, doing a little escalator action.
I was trying to figure out a way to make him come from the top like that, but without my hand being there. It's not working.
Kind of obvious.
It is. Need to lower him. I do have a string here.
Get a pulley system. Start bringing him down.
I do have. I don't think you can quite see in the photo, but I do have a light here on a string, so could use that maybe. But yeah,
you need to get yourself a ceiling fan right there and have him hooked to the thing, so it just does a little circle.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I mean, Forbes, he's looked good in practice. Like we got there, but he's about 40 pounds too small.
Oh yeah, we never had a problem with his ability. We never had a problem with his ability. He was a good fit actually for Wings defense if he just was, wasn't the size of a preschooler.
Even if he puts on 20 pounds, he should probably put on between 35 to 40 pounds, play the position.
If
but
he put 20 pounds up, he'd be fine. Actually, I think. If he put 20
I was about to say, I think because of his speed and his, tenacity to go out there and just cause havoc, be a different playmaker. But when you have a 200-pound body receiver, 190-pound body receiver trying to get hit by someone 30 pounds lighter, there's a big difference in just basic physics of someone trying to hit something like that. You have to be super technical, and at an NFL level, you have to be technical to play, but you also have to be kind of solid. The bigger you are, the less physics and technique.
You got to understand what your body's limitations are. That's what it boils down to.
Yes, but I'm just saying, if you're coming in and you're tackling someone at the legs, and you're obviously you can't hit the knee, but it depends how big you are and how hard you have to hit. Where are you going to hit in the hamstring? Where are you going to hit in the calf to kind of kick him out from the legs? When you got the smallest shoulders, you got to be more precise.
What if we pretend this is the Karate Kid and we sweep the leg?
Oh, you might get disqualified.
Oh, yeah. I went there.
Sweep the leg, Johnny. Sweep the
leg. So the big concern they really have this year, though, looks like for the Commanders, is their offensive line, though. Their offensive line is getting a huge amount of concern from the fans. You can tell the coaching staff's not as sure and not as confident when they talk about him even as well. So that's definitely something that I think the Giants can take advantage of the couple times we play them each year, because we do have some good pass rushers. We do have obviously a very good very good defensive line. So I think this is one of those weaknesses that the Giants need to take advantage of this year, because if that's going to be an issue, especially with we're guessing Sam Howell, the young quarterback coming out, yeah, take advantage. Take advantage. Beat the crap out of them. So
we don't need to go 1-0-1 this year. We need to go 2-0.
Nope. We need to go 6-0. That's what I want.
That would be fantastic, but we're
That's
probably
my
going to go
goal.
4-2.
That's my goal.
Undefeated division. That is very optimistic. My goal is 4-0.
I'm saying 6-0, 6-0. And then we do have one last bit of news with the Commanders, and we don't know what's going to happen with that there, but there has been talks about the old team name coming back. I know there's been a fans have put a petition out to the new owner. From what I've heard, the new owner has actually even used the term in some of his talks with other employees in the building there. So, I can't even have an opinion on it myself. I'll let them and the Native American community figure out what's right or wrong on that one there. Not my place, but put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, let's not go political here. I'm just saying, like, if you got someone that's saying, like, hey, it was an honor to have that kind of name, but also 80% of other people are saying that's very offensive, you kind of have to make a hard choice there.
I would walk away from it if I was them. I wouldn't even think about bringing the name back. But again, I am not the one who should be offended by it. So I'll let the people who could potentially be offended by it legitimately, let them be the ones to tell us basically if it's a right or wrong.
You know what they should do? Besides a bunch of white dudes talking about PC corrective names, Washington Football Organization should do a poll across the Native Americans.
See, I don't trust polls. I don't.
So I'm just saying, throw something out there. Have someone do, door to door.
The poll is only as good as the people doing the poll.
It's true, but I mean,
just saying.
If you have a voting system, listen, we do it every 4 years. We have a poll about who's going to run the country for every 4 years.
Oh, we're not going to the trust of that one. We're going to start with that kind of fight here in the comments section.
I'm not trying to get there, but if that's good enough for America, it's good enough for the Washington Football Organization.
Yes, there's a little bit difference between doing a poll, going door to door, than there is doing the votes. I'm just saying. There's a little bit of a difference. Like I said, we'll see what they do at that point. And I've seen some people saying it's very wrong. Some people saying they have no problem with it. So again, we'll leave it up to people that are of the Native American groups to let them tell us, which way to go. I just can't imagine any other color but red and using that same type of name and that being okay. So
they should be called the Washington Redbeards.
That
might be offensive to Scottishmen. I don't know.
I think no matter what, we can all agree on one thing, though. They should not be called the Washington Commanders. It's a horrible name. It's a horrible.
They haven't commanded anything in decades.
It's not just that. It's just a bad name. It's not like.
Well, I think it's supposed to be a homage to the offensive name.
Yeah.
Like, there were some Native American groups that, were kind of known as commanders. So I think it was supposed to be a homage.
I don't know. Like I said,
I mean, at the end of the day, at that point, I mean, granted, I was about to say they should be called the Comanches. That's way more respectable than the Commanders. But Comanches also were around this area, so we're not going to go into.
Yeah, like I said,
politics.
And that's what I'm just saying as far as that. To me, as a white male, I don't think it's my place to say use it or don't use it. I think if they want to look at it, they should bring in people from various Native American tribes, bring them into it, let them have the conversation, and see what they want to do. Whether it's using the name back, integrating the the symbolism some way into the team's culture. Like I said, to me, that's not a conversation for us. That's a conversation for people that are Native American.
The Washington Oppenheimers.
All right, let's get into the comments here. Let's get the rest of the comments here. So Connor says, we've always had the toughest division, Cowgirls, Beagles. Thank God. Oh my gosh. Here we go. He's talk about them bringing it back like we just talked about there. Dakota says, 2 Giant Enemies podcasts. Your dad says Cowboys need to move on, and they probably do. I think they've reached their peak of the Dak experience. Connor says, bye Dak, LOL. Then he says, we need a giant poster or something behind you, Roberto. I'm with him on that one. I think it's time. You get some of your LT gear. You need to get some of your LT gear up there. You got the LT stuff. Go for it. He says, or spray pen G-Men on it. I'm just telling you, you got plenty of LT stuff there. Go for it. Connor says, RG3 was good for a bit, then bye-bye. He was good for a bit until he broke his whole body.
Like 3 times.
And he says, wake up, Roberto. And he says, gnomes freak me out. What gnomes is that, Connor? This gnome? It's a gnome on gnome. Said gnome right above him too. So let's see. Connor says some American Indian group is trying to bring it back. So if they don't have an issue, put it back. Again, that's one American Indian group, though. Again, they need to go as a collective if they're going to do anything as far as that, and decide without people like us that are on the outskirts of that conversation involved.
Just like in general, like the Comanche tribe had about 25 different bands of Comanches.
Yeah. Like I said,
and that went all over. Anything that has a kind of funny name as a state in America came from Native Americans in homage. Dakota, where did you think that came from? That's Native American tribe.
Like I said, to me,
bands all over.
If I was the owner of that team, I would not go near that name because of what I said a minute ago. If you use any other color but red, it wouldn't be discussion about that. There would never be discussion about that. So to me, not a team name that I'd want. But again, being that I'm not Native American, I'm not the one to have that conversation or be the one to tell them that. Not my place. Not my place. Soul Brother says, why should they call it that name when there's not one Indian on the team or staff? And he says there's millions of other names to choose from. Yeah, like I said, that's the conversation they're going to have with them, I think. We just want to bring it up because of the fact that it's being talked about. Again, I don't want to get too much into it because it'll become like a political argument there, which to me, it shouldn't be a politics thing even. But like I said.
Yeah, sadly, no. I mean, the only thing they had was it was just a time and place where ignorance was more tolerated. And you just named football teams after things you thought were fierce. Like, oh, Giants, those things are crazy. Like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Granted, you had Steelers, but you had a whole bunch of people, making Steel.
Yeah, but there's a difference in those names, obviously. No one gets offended by that. And if anyone who is of a particular race gets offended by a name,
you're right. I'm not trying to say that.
I wouldn't use it. I don't think it's right personally.
I'm not trying to say that.
So
we're going too much politics.
We're going too much. All right,
I'm
guys.
just saying you want to name yourself after something kind of cool.
We're just gonna wrap it up then. A nice little bow here. So again, guys, we'll be back again for you guys Monday night. Monday night, we're gonna go ahead and do our talk of the game here. That's tomorrow night for the Giants and the Panthers. There should be a fun one there. Hopefully, see some starters. That'd be nice. Hopefully, Tommy DeVito doesn't get beat like crazy.
They should redeem the Panthers because Panthers are a mythical animal. It's just a black leopard.
Oh gosh. We're not going into that maniac. Panthers is an animal. That's okay. Anyway, I think
it's a leopard that's just all black fur. So same animal, same genome.
I'm just saying it's a
different science.
The different thing when we're talking about an animal compared to a person. There's a huge difference.
I'm just being a dick.
People are to take you serious, though. You're going to get us canceled. Don't get us canceled, Rob. If making fun of the people that died in the Titanic sub didn't get us canceled, we should be in the clear.
Yeah.
We did get a bad review about that, but I mean, it is what it is.
We tanked it.
As Connor says, Mingo. Mingo's going to stink, Connor. Just watch. As Amelia
It's going to be just like a leopard, spotty.
As Amelia chimes in, hey, happy birthday. Appreciate it. So, yeah, like I said, we'll be back on again Monday night for you guys talking about that game, giving updates on everything going on there. I do think that, like I said, this would be probably the most interesting game to watch in the preseason. I do think this is the best chance you have to see some time with the starters in there. So enjoy it, everybody, tomorrow night. Have some beers, drink responsibly, though. We'll be back again Monday night for you guys, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn profile. And of course, you can watch it afterwards. If you can't watch it live, you can watch it later on any of those platforms. Best one to watch it on is YouTube, because usually about a day or so later, I can cut the intro out so that way it'll help save you a little time.
5 minutes fast.
Yeah, if you want to fast forward through 6 minutes of, the intro and the countdown and all that kind of fun stuff there. So again, YouTube probably the best play. And when you go there, hit the bell, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit all the buttons possible. Buttons, hit the buttons, except the negative one. Don't do the downward thumb at that point, or else you
ring that bell. Yeah.
You do the downward thumb, you end up like Hassan Reddick. I'm just saying.
Womp womp. Must be a Washington football team name.
And again, we're always on afterwards, about a couple hours later on all the audio podcast platforms there. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all the big ones, we are on there. So again, guys, we shall see you guys again on Monday night. In the meantime, if you liked this program, if you like the programs in general, and you want to go ahead and sponsor one of the shows or join up with our subscriptions, again, it's buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Again, buymeacoffee.com/2 Giant Goofballs. Subscription started at $5 a month. The one-time sponsorship started just $3 at that point as well. So you got a lot of inexpensive options we try to have there. As Big Blue in the Bronx shows up there. Yo, what's up, guys? I don't know which one control of the account right now. But yeah, if you guys are watching the video and you see this up on the screen here, Big Blue in the Bronx, go ahead, and if you are a fan of New York sports in general, follow these guys, subscribe. They cover not just the Giants, but they covered, pretty much every New York team there is known to man there at that point. So if you're a New York sports fan in general, like them, subscribe, and watch their shows. All right, guys. Again, we shall see you guys Monday night. Appreciate you guys listening in as always. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man! G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?